Welcome. What is influenza or flu vaccine? How is it made using eggs? Influenza vaccines. Influenza vaccines, also known as flu shots or flu jabs, are vaccines that protect against infection by influenza viruses. New versions of the vaccines are developed twice a year, as the influenza virus rapidly changes. While their effectiveness varies from year to year, most provide modest to high protection against influenza. The United States Centers for Disease Control and Prevention estimates that vaccination against influenza reduces sickness, medical visits, hospitalizations, and deaths. Immunized workers who do catch the flu return to work half a day sooner on average. Vaccine effectiveness in those under 2 years old and those over 65 years old remains uncertain due to a lack of high-quality research. Vaccinating children may protect those around them. All commercially available flu vaccines in the United States are made by private sector manufacturers. Different manufacturers use different production technologies, but all flu vaccines meet FDA safety and effectiveness requirements. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention recommends the flu vaccine as the best way to protect people against the flu and prevent its spread. The flu vaccine can also reduce the severity of the flu if a person contracts a strain that the vaccine did not contain. It takes about 2 weeks following vaccination for protective antibodies to form. How it made using eggs. The most common way that flu vaccines are made is using an egg-based manufacturing process that has been used for more than 70 years. Egg-based vaccine manufacturing is used to make both inactivated vaccine and live-attenuated vaccine. The egg-based production process begins with CDC or another laboratory partner in the WHO Global Influenza Surveillance and Response System, providing private sector manufacturers with candidate vaccine viruses grown in eggs per current FDA regulatory requirements. These CVVs are then injected into fertilized hens' eggs and incubated for several days to allow the viruses to replicate. The fluid containing virus is harvested from the eggs. For inactivated influenza vaccines, the vaccine viruses are then inactivated, and the virus antigen is purified. The manufacturing process continues with quality testing, filling, and distribution. For the nasal spray flu vaccine, the starting CVVs are live, but weakened viruses that go through a different production process. FDA tests and approves all influenza vaccines prior to release and shipment. There are several different manufacturers that use this production technology to make flu vaccines for use in the United States. This production method requires large numbers of chicken eggs to produce vaccine and may take longer than other production methods. Vaccination. The World Health Organization and the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention recommend yearly vaccination for nearly all people over the age of 6 months, especially those at high risk. The European Centre for Disease Prevention and Control also recommends yearly vaccination of high-risk groups. These groups include pregnant women, the elderly, children between 6 months and 5 years of age, those with certain health problems, and those who work in healthcare. The vaccines are generally safe. Fever occurs in 5 to 10% of children vaccinated. Temporary muscle pains or feelings of tiredness may occur as well. In certain years, the vaccine has been linked to an increase in Guillain-Barré syndrome among older people at a rate of about 1 case per million doses. Although most influenza vaccines are produced using eggs, they are still recommended for people who have severe egg allergies. However, influenza vaccines are not recommended in those who have had a severe allergy to previous versions of the vaccine itself. The vaccine comes in inactive and weakened viral forms. The live Weakened vaccine is generally not recommended in pregnant women, children less than 2 years old, adults older than 50, or people with a weakened immune system. Depending on the type, they can be injected into a muscle, sprayed into the nose, or injected into the middle layer of the skin. The intradermal vaccine was not available during the 2018, 2019, and 2019-2020 influenza seasons. Vaccination against influenza began in the 1930s with large-scale availability in the United States beginning in 1945. It is on the World Health Organization's list of essential medicines, the safest and most effective medicines needed in a health system. The wholesale price in the developing world is about $5.25 per dose as of 2014. In the United States, the vaccine costs less than $25 per dose as of 2015. Recombinant flu vaccines. There is another production technology for flu vaccines that was approved for use in the U.S. market in 2013, and that involves using recombinant technology. Recombinant flu vaccines do not require having a candidate vaccine virus sample to produce. Instead, recombinant vaccines are created synthetically. To make a recombinant vaccine, flu scientists first obtain DNA, genetic instructions, for making a surface protein called hemagglutinin found on influenza viruses. HA is an antigen, which is a feature of a flu virus that triggers the human immune system to create antibodies that specifically target the virus. This DNA for making flu virus HA antigen is then combined with a baculovirus, a virus that infects invertebrates. This results in a recombinant virus. The role of the baculovirus is to help transport the DNA instructions for making flu virus HA antigen into a host cell. Once the recombinant virus enters a Food and Drug Administration qualified host cell line, it instructs the cells to rapidly produce the HA antigen. This antigen is grown in bulk, collected, purified, and then packaged as recombinant flu vaccine. These vaccines are then quality and potency tested by FDA prior to FDA approving release of the vaccine lots to the public. This production method does not require an egg-grown vaccine virus and does not use chicken eggs at all in the production process. While there are other vaccines on the U.S. market that use similar recombinant manufacturing processes, there is only one influenza vaccine produced using recombinant technology approved by the FDA for use in the United States at this time. This production process is the fastest because it is not limited by the selection of vaccine viruses that are adapted for growth in eggs or the development of cell-based vaccine viruses. What is influenza or flu vaccine? How is it made using eggs? Thank you for watching this video. Goodbye.